Richland High School biology students. Welcome to part 3 of viruses. This is going to be about viruses and how they reproduce and how they spread from organism to organism. In this diagram right here, we have two cycles. We have the lytic cycle on the left and the lysogenic cycle on the right. They're two different cycles, but they work hand in hand with each other. And I'm going to start by just going through the lytic cycle, which every virus goes through, the lytic cycle. Remember, viruses are much smaller, especially bacteriophage, much smaller than they're showing here, but the sizes are out of proportion just so you can see what's going on. In this picture right here, the phage, or virus, lands on the bacterium, and in step 2, it inserts its DNA to the host cell. This is a bacteria. This would be a bacteriophage since it's infecting the bacteria. And this is the DNA, the viral DNA. And here's the host cell DNA. What happens, though, is the host cell DNA here in step 3 is digested and broken down. The new phage DNA forms nucleotides from the former host DNA and begins assembling a brand new set of viruses. They just keep building and building using the cell's own assembly line. It just keeps assembling new viruses until finally this process right here called lysis starts, where the viruses just burst out of the cell, killing the host cell. What's important to know about the lytic cycle is that the host cell right here dies. Okay, so that's about it. That's the lytic cycle viruses go through. So instead of just jumping right into the lytic cycle and killing the host cell, making a ton of viruses, the lysogenic cycle is a little bit more sneaky. So here's what happens. It starts out the same way, with a phage landing on the bacteria, injecting its DNA. Instead of destroying the DNA like it did in the lytic cycle, it's a sneaky little guy, and it becomes part of the host cell's DNA. We call that a prophage. So there's that word phage, which means virus. So this is viral DNA becoming part of the host cell's DNA. Then this host cell doesn't even know it's there. It's just part of its DNA. It starts dividing. Since the viral DNA is integrated with the host cell DNA, it just starts dividing, and each new cell that is made has the virus DNA in it. So you could get this when you're a kid, possibly. Grow up to be an adult, and every one of your cells will have this viral DNA inside of it. That's the scary part about the lysogenic cycle. Then at some untold time, the virus is set off. It leaves the host cell's DNA, where it enters back into the lytic cycle, and now since all of your cells have this DNA in it, now you're in big trouble. So all of your cells are now going through the lytic cycle, which is scary because they will, for the most part, be destroyed. So there's the lytic and lysogenic cycles of viruses. Just remember that the lytic cycle always results in the death of the host cell. The lysogenic cycle is when the virus DNA becomes part of the host cell's DNA, and then the host cell just goes on doing its things, doing its cellular activities. Then one day they break out, and then it enters back into the lytic cycle. So you can have the lytic cycle by itself, or you can have the lysogenic cycle entering back into the lytic cycle. Alrighty, so that's